Oh my god. Hey, what is going on, my fellow godlies and Dragonball Xenoverse enthusiasts around the world? I am Vance from the ever-popular series Warframe God Builds and Dragonball Xenoverse God Builds. And today I'm going to be showing you my Majin female range destroyer class build. Now, this build is heavily focused on Ki Blast supers, but it's very decent in hand-to-hand combat. So getting right into my stats. Getting right into my attributes, I of course went for 125 health. I know max Ki looks really weird. You'll begin to understand that when you take a look at my equipment. Basic attacks, it's at 77, and when the level cap gets increased, I will no doubt put more attributes points into that, as basic attack is pretty important to this build. And then my Ki Blast supers is maxed out at 125 as well. Taking a look at my equipment, for the Super Soul, I'm using Before Creation Comes Ruin. This is Beerus's God of Destruction Super Soul, and what it does is a bit of time after the battle has begun, you will receive boosts in Ki Blast supers and Ki Blast ultimate attacks by extra large amount. And as I said before, this is a ranged destroyer class, so you know, when there's distance between her and her foe, she's really going to do a lot of damage. For the QQ Bang, I'm using +5 to health, ki, and stamina. This is going to nerf your basic attack, your strike supers, and your Ki Blast supers, which is why we opted to put the attribute points in that we did, and also the Super Soul that we're using. And with the Ki, you don't quite have full bars, and I'm really OCD about having full bars. If I'm going to have 4.5, I might as well go for 5. If I'm gonna have 5.5, I might as well go for 6. So that's why the Ki is with 5 attribute points in it, and nothing more. Alright, so when you take a look at my actual skills for my teleporting ability that I usually use on every character, I usually have a move that transports me to their location. This time I'm actually using it in reverse, and by that I mean I am using a move that can be triggered right in front of their face, and it will do a lot of explosive damage right away, and that's 3 Bomber. It's very unique to Majin characters. So, and you can also float around invisible and reappear anywhere you want. You can guide it. It's very nice to have. Burst Kamehameha is something that I use at the height of combos or when their stamina is broke and I don't have a lot of ki. This does a lot of damage, and what I love about this move is that you can do it almost instantaneously. You can hit them, and then if you press the super attack again, it will do a burst, which will do more damage, and it's really good. If you realize that you've connected with your first attack, you can go ahead and pump more damage in. Maximum charge is going to be pretty essential, especially when you take this type of build into raids. you're gonna need to charge up. It's not so, I wouldn't say it's as important in PvP. You'll most likely be building ki just by getting your ass beat or beating their ass. And then always, like always, I have a counter move in place, which is Godbreaker, and because this is a ranged class, this is going to do quite a bit of damage. For my ultimate attacks, I'm using Assault Rain. I love Assault Rain because it tracks you. Even if people break your stamina while you're doing Assault Rain, if you get as little as 2 or 3 ki blasts up in the air, they will come right back down crashing on their head, and they won't have time to capitalize on your stamina broken. Hopefully you have enough ki to use Godbreaker if your stamina is broken, because you can keep countering them and they won't effectively be able to do anything with your broken stamina. Super Ki Explosion is something that's sort of like the last build that I did with the Majin male. I get very close to them, preferably when their stamina is broke, and then I do Super Ki Explosion. I keep the buttons held down and just drain everything that I've got. I put everything into that move because this will do massive amounts of damage. I mean, this is amazing to take into a raid, because if you manage to get this in, that's nearly a full bar of health that they've instantly lost, especially with our equipment and our stats and everything the way that it is. In the PvP footage, I did use Kaioken, and I had every intention of using a different ultimate with the PvP build, which I ended up not doing at all. So instead, I replaced it with Potential Unleashed, and you can really use any transformation you want here, although I would recommend against Purification because it's awkward seeing your female transform into a male. And on top of that, you lose all your skills and trade them out for, you know, Kid Boo's skills. So I don't deem that as worthy. But if you were to choose Kaioken or Potential Unleashed, you've got my seal of approval for either one of those. With Maiden Burst, it's just a simple ultimate evasive that explodes and deals quite a bit of damage. I believe that the best form of defense is an amazing offense. So, you know, if you're following up on attacks and you've got your health of your opponent dwindling, this oftentimes could be the deal breaker for them, you know, because it's going to do quite a bit of damage as an ultimate evasive, and that's something that I swear by in terms of this build in particular. Alright, so that pretty much concludes my build for my female Majin range destroyer. She's very reliable. I can take her into essentially any raid at all, and I can lend a really helpful hand to anybody who's struggling, especially with those raid bosses that don't let you get in basic attacks or basic ki blasts. So just keep that in mind. This is more geared towards PvE. It will work in PvP, as I will demonstrate. But that pretty much concludes my build. If you like this, you should always smack that like button, share, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And until next time, this has been Vance signing off. Peace.